It is not only a tale of two cities, it is a tale of two coaches, 52-year-old Walt Michaels and 47-year-old Bart Starr. 2 months ago, they were prime candidates to be deposed as coaches of their respective teams. But each team has now won 6 of their last 7, each team battling for a playoff berth. The Green Bay Packers, spearheaded by 32-year-old Lynn Dickey, coming off a 5-touchdown game last week against New Orleans. The same Lynn Dickey who has directed a Packer team that has scored 101 points in its last 3 games, with All-Pro James Lofton and the addition of John Jefferson from San Diego, giving the Packer offense an added dimension. There is another new change with Green Bay. It has become among the NFL's top teams in turnover ratio. Not only do the Packers hold on to the ball, they also take it from the other team. And so add a powerful offense and an alert defense, and you have the Packers back and on the rise. Meanwhile, Richard Todd, for 5 years living in the memory and the echo of Joe Namath, is now standing on his own 2 feet. He has thrown for 23 touchdown passes this year, only 3 behind the storied Namath and Doro. Lamb Jones, Derek Gaffney, Wesley Walker, Bobby Jones have all added in the attack. And the defense and the names are well known in New York. Gastineau and Klecko and Lyons and Salam, better known as the Sack Exchange. So the question before the House, can the Sack Exchange get to Lynn Dickey? Can the Packers keep them away? The playoff picture is coming into sharp focus.
CBS Sports presents the best of the National Football League. The National Football Conference. Today, the Green Bay Packers versus the New York Jets.
The temperature at game time is 26 degrees. The wind out of the northwest at 15 miles per hour. That would translate into a chill factor of about 3 degrees above zero. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Hank Stram. And Mark Twain said everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. What about the weather today, and particularly a frozen field?
Well, this is always a treacherous area to play a game in. As you know, Ben, the wind is a factor. The field is a factor. It's frozen. I talked to Jan Stenerud before the game. He was very concerned about the placement of his left foot because he wanted to make sure he didn't slip when he kicked the football. All those things are very important in this game today.
There's one other thing besides the elements that are always surrounding a ball game, and that would be a tremendous amount of emotion in New York, all centered right now at Shea Stadium.
Yes, and if I were the Green Bay Packers, I'd much rather start the game on defense than I would on offense because of the emotional frenzy of this crowd, the reaction of the crowd to the players is going to be a big factor especially in the early part of the game. So I definitely would want to play defense to start the game. Here we are, Vin. We're ready to stretch the pores. Let's go to work.
Okay, Hank. And the Green Bay Packers won the toss, and they elected to receive. So the New York Jets, Pat Leahy, will be kicking to the deep men, and that would be Turdell Middleton, number 34, and Mike McCoy, number 29. He kicks it, and this one is underway. And it'll be Middleton starting out at the 6-yard line. Upended at the 15 and dives forward across the 20, and it was Johnny Lynn, who hit him and knocked him down. And they'll mark the ball at about the 22-yard line, and that's where the Pack will put it in play. 1st and 10. Dickey with Huckleberry and Ellis, the running backs. Lofton and Jefferson, the wide receivers, with Concar, Thompson, McCarron, Harris, Cook, and Kaufman up front. The Green Bay fighting the Jets and this tremendous emotional crowd here at Shea Stadium, and Dickey brings them up. Dickey play-action fake to Harlan Huckleby, low to Lofton, and Lofton goes down at about the 37-yard line, and the late call ruling it no catch. It was very tough to see, and Lofton trying to curl on the ball couldn't do it.
One thing that's very important when you play in this kind of a field and this kind of weather, the quarterback really has to do a good job of following through with his throw. Dickey did that time, but he held on to the ball just a little bit too long.
James Lofton just called to the All-Pro Bowl. The youngster who has had an outstanding year in his 4th year out of Stanford, but no catch, so it is 2nd and 10. Jefferson goes wide right with Kaufman a split end and Lofton wide left. And again, Dickey going to send it up, and down he goes, and it was number 93, Marty Lyons, who made the sack. And the sack exchange is in business, and the crowd acting like the Dow Jones has gone over 1,000.
We get a good shot of the outside receiver, Jefferson slipping, trying to make a cut to the inside, but slipped on and fell on the frozen turf.
So Marty Lyons, 3 years out of Alabama, makes the first sack of the day as Dickey lost his receiver, and it is 3rd and 12 on the Packer 20-yard line. And Dickey throwing in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, and that would be his tight end, Kaufman. Kaufman taking a lick from a man they figured to pick on, Jesse Johnson, and so the Packers will have to give it up.
And that's why I mentioned earlier, I'd much rather start the game on defense in this kind of a contest, and it looks like it could be an advantage for the New York Jets, depending on where they get field position after this kick.
To play in the first quarter, thanks to a bad snap and a block punt, the New York Jets are leading the Jets leading 7-0 over Green Bay with 12:42 left in the first quarter. I'm Vin Scully along with Hank Stram. Pull up a chair. Looks like we're going to have a wingding here. Pat Leahy kicking low into the right side to Mike McCoy. McCoy muffing it, picks it up at the 2. Now to the 10, across to the 15, and dropped there. One of the first men down to get him was Kirk Springs, who normally is seen as a rookie back. Here's the way the Jets stack up defensively with Gastineau, Salam, Lyons, and Klecko, the New York Stock Exchange, and now called the Sack Exchange, with Buttle, Blink, and Mel, the linebackers. Johnson and Holmes at the corners, Shroy and Ray at the safeties. And, of course, Jesse Johnson is normally a safety. He's pressed into a corner because Lynn and Dykes are pretty well banged up. From the 15, 1st and 10 for Lynn Dickey. In motion is Kaufman, the tight end. They'll stay on the ground at Jerry Ellis. Ellis running laterally and might have lost a yard.
Yeah, Ellis really didn't do a good job of running that time. He ran sideways, ran east and west, instead of trying to get his nose into a seam and getting as much as he possibly could on the play. There wasn't much running room, but at least you have to get upfield and try to get the most out of the play that you possibly can.
And they'll give him almost back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a half a yard shy of that. So 2nd and a long 10 at the 15. And Harlan Huckleby are the running backs. And this time it's Ellis straight ahead, and he's out across the 25 and driving to about the 28-yard line. A quick burst for 13 yards and a first down easily.
The defense of the New York Jets is a very aggressive defense. Their front four, they come across, they're tough. They're in the gaps a lot. That time they ran a trap. Leotis Harris, their right guard, trapping the defensive right tackle. Beautiful play, good execution on the run.
So the ball just shy of the Packer 29-yard line, 1st and 10. Jefferson goes right, Lofton is left, and Ellis is in motion to the left. Dickey, with all backs releasing, throwing low, didn't have a good grip on the ball. It was intended for John Jefferson.
It looked like Dickey rolled just slightly that time, and as he planted his right foot, it slipped a little bit. That's why he didn't have anything on the ball. It went into the turf and falls incomplete. But the real key was the fact that he could not set up well, and his right foot slipped.
Up front, you're looking, among others, at Joe Klecko. He and Mark Gastineau with 18 sacks. Jecko, a kid who didn't play until his senior year in high school. And what a career he's already had. Second and 10 now for Lynn Dickey. Both backs releasing. Dickey low over the middle. No good. That was intended for the tight end, Paul Kaufman.
Dickey is very concerned about the footing. He slipped again that time, and after the play, he threw it poorly into the ground. After the play, he was scratching and digging. There was a penalty on the play.
Offense. Number 71, holding, refused, third down.
So the penalty, as you heard, refused. Our referee was Fred Silva, the umpire Ralph Moorcroft, the head linesman Frank Glover, and the line judge is Vern Marshall. Back judge Jim Carney, the side judge Merrill Douglas, and the field judge is Don Orr. So 3rd and 10 for the Pack on their own 29. 7-0 Jets. Lofton and Kaufman is left. Jefferson out wide to the right. Dickey going to be sacked by Klecko at the 20-yard line. So Joe Klecko's 19th sack. That gives the New York Sack Exchange 59 sacks.
Mark Honkar, number 79, the offensive left tackle, does not handle Klecko on the play. He runs around the outside of the block and makes the sack. I think one thing that you have to do if you're going to throw the ball a lot, you must keep a back helping the tackle on Klecko and also Gastineau on the other side. You're not going to be able to block them all afternoon, just one-on-one with the offensive tackle.
23-year-old Mark Murphy's 3rd interception of the year, the Packers' 30th, and they have it 1st and 10 on their own 41. They'll stay on the ground with Ellis. Ellis bumped into back Harlan Huckleby and got about to the 44-yard line, a pickup of 3. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Two things that are very important when you play against a team that plays a defense like the Jets. Number one, as I mentioned earlier, they're very, very aggressive. You have to trap the defensive tackles and ends. You also should be able to run screens, and you should also be able to run a lot of draws because they come up the field very strong.
2nd and a long 6 for the Pack. The ball just shy of the Green Bay 45-yard line. Kaufman in motion. And it'll be the second man, Harlan Huckleby, but he runs into people and down he goes. Among others to hit him were Greg Buttle and Lance Mell. The Packers had gotten the ball only out to their 29 in their 2 previous possessions, and now at the interception they finally find themselves in pretty good field position.
The important thing is, however, when you have good field position, you must take advantage of field position and do something with it.
Well, we'll see what they can do. 3rd and 6 from the 45. They send Lofton right and Jefferson left. And now they're going to load up the right side as Jefferson in motion. Ellis staying in the block. And Dickey, with a little time, finds Lofton, and he gets away from Johnson and is finally slung out of bounds by Darrell Ray, but he goes out at the 36-yard line of New York, and that's a 1st down.
The key to the play, Lofton, number 80, is working on the left cornerback, Jesse Johnson, number 27. But the important thing is that Lofton came back. He came back for the ball, which is a big play, and that was the reason why he was able to make that reception.
Joe Klecko is out of the ball game for the moment, and Kenny Neal comes in to give him a brief respite. And it is 1st and 10 Packers on the Jets' 36-yard line. Lofton left and Jefferson right. Dickey losing the ball for the moment and a pileup. And it is going to be a moment until we find out, and the Packers recovered it.
You couldn't tell whether Dickey came out of there too quickly. He just did not get the ball from the center, McCarron, that time. There was a bad mesh, bad exchange between the quarterback and the center, and the ball popped up into the air, and they're very, very lucky to be able to recover that fumble.
And they only lost 2 yards, so it'll make it 2nd and 12 from the Jet 38. 7-0 New York. We have 8:23 left in the first quarter as Bart Starr and Walt Michaels, 2 fellas, as we mentioned at the top of the show, who are under the shadow of being fired, have certainly squared their teams around. Kaufman in motion, and Dickey on a deep drop over the middle. Hard hit. The intended receiver was Ellis. He was hit by Greg Buttle, and there's a flag on the play. Boy, Buttle really belted him.
Boy, that was really a terrific hit by Buttle, number 51.
That's a Joe Paterno Penn State hit. The penalty will be against Green Bay. And here's Fred Shea.
Delay, number 12. 2nd down.
So a delay of game penalty against Lynn Dickey for 5 yards.
You know, been in obvious passing situations in 2nd and long. Green Bay has to run some traps to slow down that rush, because if they don't, they're going to be in trouble. Even if they don't make a lot of yardage, they still have to trap their defense to keep them at home and keep them on the line of scrimmage.
So it's 2nd and about 17. The ball on the Jets' 43-yard line. Remember, they had 1st and 10 on the 36. Lewis in motion as the tight end. And Dickey has it picked off by Lance Mell. And Mell is down at the Jets' 40-yard line. Lance Mell, who in the words of Joe Paterno was as good a linebacker as I've ever had at Penn State, coming off a concussion, makes the interception.
There we see Dickey back into the pocket. Protection is good. He steps up into the pocket. And Lance Mell, number 56, is really the only guy that was open on the play. He comes in there and makes the interception, and the Jets have possession 1st and 10 on the 40.
So the Packers, after Mark Murphy's interception, had great field position, got it down to the Jets' 36, only to surrender it to Lance Mell. And now Richard Todd and the Jets will take over first, and Lynn Dickey got his club as far as the Jets' 36. That's the furthest penetration. Jefferson goes right, Lofton left, Kaufman in a flex as the tight end, and now in motion. Play action fake to Ellis, and the pass is complete to Jefferson at the 35-yard line, and Jefferson dropped at about the 36. And the man who hit him is that man, Jesse Johnson. They figured to pick on.
Yes, and Jesse Johnson is going to get a lot of business this afternoon. They're going to work on him. They've done so already. John Jefferson trying to get off the line of scrimmage, slipped and fell. The ball's thrown right at the numbers in front of Jesse Johnson, and I think anytime they have a one-on-one with him, they're going to try to get the ball out there to the receiver.
So 1st and 10 on the Packer 36 as Dickey picked up 16 yards with that pass. He'll go to Ellis, and Ellis drives for a couple to about the 38. You know, you're going to see a lot of number 27, Kenny Johnson. Not only is Johnson a safety who is playing corner, he also has a hyperextended knee, and they're asking him to cover one of the great tandems in NFL football, Lofton and Jefferson.
Well, you would think that the Jets would tell Green Bay about that so they wouldn't pick on him like they would.
The decent thing to do. Yeah. Meanwhile, Minnesota leading Kansas City 3-0 early in the first quarter. 2nd and 7. Kaufman in motion. The ball at the Packer 39. It's a draw to Ellis, but the middle was clogged up, and green shirts stop him at the 40-yard line. So they tried to open up the middle, but it wasn't open.
The mesh between a quarterback that time and Ellis was not very good. They bumped into each other on the draw play, and for that reason they didn't succeed in doing a better job than they did. Watch the mesh between the quarterback 12 and Ellis. There's a little confusion, a little indecision on the play. Ellis had enough composure to try to break outside. Didn't have much of a chance to do much as far as yardage is concerned, but did get the ball upfield and did the best he could on the play.
So about 3rd and 5.5 for the Pack. The ball on the Green Bay 40. Gary Lewis in motion as the tight end. Dickey has it intended for Jefferson, in and out of the hands of Jesse Johnson, and Greg Buttle also stuck a finger in the pie, number 51.
Here we see Jefferson trying to stop, under control. Buttle, anticipation is excellent and almost came up with the interception. Great play by Greg Buttle, number 51.
So Ray Stackowitz standing on the Packer 25-yard line. 1st and 10 on the Jets' 44-yard line for Lynn Dickey. Jefferson is right and Lofton left. It's Ellis and Huckleby, the running back. They'll stay on the ground with Harlan Huckleby, but the Jets nail him just about at the line of scrimmage at best. Time for another NFL update, and with that, let's go to Brett Musburger in New York.
Benny, the Eagles have just struck again. Wilbert Montgomery from 9 yards out, and Philadelphia snapping back now with the pressure off. They want to host the wild card game next Sunday. Back to you and Shea.
Okay, Brent. Meanwhile, the Jets holding on to a 7-0 lead. It is 2nd and 9 for the Packers on the Jets' 43-yard line. Lofton right and Jefferson left. Kaufman, the tight end, is on the left side. And And Dickey releasing to Huckleby. And Huckleby is at the 40, and it's knocked out of bounds by Jesse Johnson inside the 40 at the 38-yard line. So they picked up 5, and it'll be 3rd and 4.
Huckleby that time on a little swing pass to the outside, number 25. Dickey delivers the ball perfectly. That kind of a pass you want to throw about a yard out in front of the number of the receiving back. It was thrown exactly right, precisely right, and he made a nice gain on the play.
So 3rd and 4 on the 38-yard line of the Jets after a Freeman McNeil fumble recovered by Maurice Harvey of Green Bay. Dickey's going to send it up over the middle, and he has got Ellis coming out of the backfield, but not enough for the first down. Ellis is down at the 37. There's a flag on the play.
And I think Marty Lyons gave the quarterback an extra little shot there. Let's see what they call, but I think perhaps that's what happened.
Yes, it'll be definitely against the Jets. Automatic first down for the Packers to keep the drive alive. And they will spot it at the 22-yard line.
Defense, number 93, unsportsmanlike conduct, roughing the passer.
So Marty Lyons, who is perhaps the most emotional up front, guilty of roughing the passer, and it'll be 1st and 10 on the Jets 22. Marty out of Alabama, and Bear Bryant said he was the best lineman I've had.
And Kenny Neal is playing right in for the injured Joe Klecko, number 77.
Lofton left, and Jefferson right as the pack trying to get even. Ellis and Huckleby in the backfield. Play action fake to Ellis, who blocks Gastineau, and the pass is to Huckleby, and the reception is made right about it, just enough for a first down, I believe. Right now, let's have another update from Brent Musburger in New York.
Benny, a development in Pontiac. The Lions have just gained the lead on Tampa Bay as Eric Hipple runs in from 9 yards out, his 7th rushing touchdown of the year. Back to you and Shea.
So the Green Bay Packers, capitalizing on a Freeman McNeil fumble and starting on the Jets 44, have 2nd and less than a yard. It was that close on that reception by Harlan Huckleby.
Looks like they might do something left.
The Jets 13-yard line as a play action fake, and no, Ellis keeps the ball and they swallow him up. So Dickey giving to Ellis, and the Jets read it perfectly.
It looked like a draw play that time. Yeah. Unusual call on 2nd and short, but evidently, watch it now. Here we go back into the pocket with Dickey giving the ball on a draw play to Ellis. And in that kind of a play, there was a seam straight ahead. You have to make a decision right or wrong. You have to take the seam and get as much out of the play as you could. That time you try to dance out of the trouble and lost yardage on the play.
So it's 3rd down and almost 3 for a first down. And again, they'll go to Ellis, and again, Ellis isn't going anywhere. And the New York Jets, fresh from a great goal line stand last week against Cleveland. The Browns had it 1st and goal on the 6, and they're just as tough out around their own 15.
Well, they're really coming off the ball very aggressively and making something happen. And really what they're doing, they're just controlling the line of scrimmage.
So Jan Stenerud entering today's game with 303 career field goals. The hold will be by Ray Stackowitz. Stackowitz will spot the ball at the 21. So it is a 31-yard field goal for Stenerud, who is 21 out of 23 this year. The spot, the hold, the kick, it's up. The kick is good. So Stenerud, who was unhappy, Hank, about the condition of the field, calmly goes out and kicks one through.
Yeah, if there's a greater kicker in the league.
Remember, they started on their own 20, then they were penalized to their own 10, and they went on to go 90 yards for the touchdown, although officially they'll be credited with 80. Harper bangs it over. Pat Leahy kicking low and hard to the right side, juggled by Mike McCoy, and he's still going to run it out. Oh, my goodness. What a gamble by McCoy.
It really wasn't a gamble. It was just a bad play, Ben.
Gee whiz.
He evidently did not know where he was. I don't know why in the world, after fumbling the ball, he wouldn't just keep it in the end zone. Instead, he elected to try to run it out. And he gets nailed right about the 5-yard line.
And the man who nailed him, who was so excited going off the field, was Marty Wetzel, the rookie out of Tulane. So a bad play. That's about the only thing you could call it for Mike McCoy. And for Bart Starr, who has already seen the Packers have so much trouble moving the ball, they start on their own 5-yard line. And Joe Klecko returns to the Wars on the right side. 1st and 10 from the 5. It'll be Ellis. And Ellis bangs it out to about the 9-yard line. A tough purchase of 4 yards for Jerry Ellis.
On the tackle.
Ellis, you know, among other things, file it away, and certainly not now in this field position, but he has thrown the ball twice. We might think about that much later in the game.
And he's caught 61 passes.
Here's a little one to Ellis, and he's going to be ridden out of bounds. Right there with him was Greg Buttle when he made the reception. Meanwhile, a very big game in Detroit, and look at that. The Lions, who haven't lost at home, have been stung. An 84-yard pass from Doug Williams to Kevin House, and Tampa on top 10-7 in the second quarter. .127 to the half. The Packers have it on their own 8-yard line. So it is 3rd and 7. Ellis and Huckleby behind Lynn Dickey. And Dickey will send it up under a pressure, and let's see, very close. They're going to put it inside the 1-yard line. Very close for the safety.
Flag down on the play, and I think Joe Klecko was offside, the defensive right end. I'm not sure, but it looked like maybe Joe was offside.
So Lynn Dickey swallowed up inside the 1, but instead the New York Sack Exchange, which is very much in business today, but this time guilty of the offside. That'll move the ball out to the 16.
Offside, 7-3. Defense, 3rd down.
Klecko with 19, Gastineau with 18. Those are some of the individual making up the Sack Exchange. Remember, they came in with 57. Oakland back in 1967 had 67 sacks. That's the most. But Klecko is in business. 3rd and 3. The ball on the 13-yard line. A fumble by Dickey, and he dropped on it. So Lynn Dickey having a lot of trouble getting out of the starting gate.
Yeah, another bad. It's the second time that's happened between he and McCarron, the offensive center. You can't tell whether he's backing out of there too quickly or whether there's got to be something wrong, but it's got to be the responsibility of the center to make sure he gets that ball up properly to the quarterback.
And, of course, you remember that Charlie Ani, who does the snapping, snapped one in the dirt. That was eventually blocked and led to the Jets' first touchdown. Jets have Pat Lay bang it through, and they're sitting on top of the world, 21-3. The New York Jets leading Green Bay 21-3 with 42 seconds to the half. Leahy kicking high but short, and it'll be handled by Mike McCoy at the 13, to the 25, to the 26-yard line, and McCoy is jammed there with 37 seconds to the half. Bart Starr, of course, still trying to get over the ill effects of that bad play by Mike McCoy. Gave him no field position. Then Stackowitz punted, and immediately Richard Todd connected for the 55-yard touchdown pass to beat Lamb Jones. The last time Starr came to New York when it really meant something was December 20th, 1962, when Green Bay beat the Giants 16-7 in the National Football League championship game. In 1962, the other New York team was the New York Titans. 1st and 10 from the 27 for Dickey. He loses the ball, and Green Bay recovers. And Mark Gastineau going wild. Gastineau, who once in training camp, they tell us, tore a face mask completely off a rookie's helmet with his bare hands, is the most emotional of all the Jets, and he just showed it. Gastineau earlier, when he made his 19th sack, tied Jerry Philbin. And look at Gastineau as time has run out. came back with 14 in the second quarter, and they are leading handily 21-3. And Richard Todd has had a reasonably good day. It has not been at all. Jan Stenerud kicks it off. A low kick. Bruce Harper makes the reception at the 12, to the 20, 25. And hit and dropped it about the 26. Linebacker Marty Wetzel, a rookie from Tulane, banged up. You might remember the emotional play he made on the tackle of Mike McCoy on the fumble kickoff. Here are the numbers for the first half, and the total yardage, of course, 4 times as much for the Jets over the Pack.
We talked about it earlier, and of course the stats illustrate what we just said about the New York Jets dominating the game from an offensive standpoint and defensive standpoint, and they're doing it with their front 4 on defense and their front 5 on the offense. The offensive line of Chris Ward, Rasmussen, Fields, Alexander, and Powell have really done a super job here in the first half.
Powell and Ward, the tackles, are referred to by Walt Michaels as his bookends. Ward has been here 4 years and Powell 5. Powell made All-Pro this year, and Michaels said they're bookends that should be here for 10 years. Meanwhile, in the middle is an All-Pro, Joe Fields, flanked by the veteran, number 66, Randy Rasmussen. Rasmussen, 15 years with the club. Joe Klecko, who has had a bruised foot, hurt it and left early in the first half to have it x-rayed, but then returned and rejoined the game. He was right in the middle of things when time ran out. So Klecko as well, and Marty Wetzel banged up on that kickoff. Here's a comparison of the quarterbacks, Hank.
Yeah, Dickey's completed 5 of 11 for just 47 yards, and Richard Todd 9 of 17 for 130 yards, and of course the big strike to Lamb Jones right before the half, a beautiful play, a long strike right down the sideline over the top for the defensive back Mark Lee, and it looked like Mark Lee mistimed the jump a little bit prematurely, and that's why the ball was able to sail over his head like it did.
Marty Wetzel, small consolation to him, the plaudits of the crowd, but better than that, he got some applause and a pat on the back from his teammates. Richard Todd came over to holler something to him. The rookie bangs his left knee and has to leave. The Jets with a lot of work to do. It's the start of the second half. 1st and 10 on the Jets' 20. Philadelphia has already clinched a wild card, and they're breezing. And, of course, it'll go right on through to that big day for Super Bowl 16 at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. All here on CBS Sports. Holy mackerel, is he warm. 1st and 10 on the Packer 23-yard line. Ellis and Huckleby behind Dickey. And Dickey's going to release it to Ellis. Nobody out there to help him but green shirts, and they knock him out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Just about enough for the first down. So Dickey picking up his first down, trying to generate some kind of an offense. You can see the numbers. He hasn't had many cards to deal today.
One thing he has to do, he has to be very patient and take what the defense gives him, move the ball down the field. There's plenty of time, but he's got to make something happen.
Well, they picked up 11, 1st and 10 from the 34. And Dickey going to release to Ellis, going the other side this time, and Ellis to the 40, and is pushed out of bounds by Greg Buttle, almost at the 45-yard line. We talked about Philadelphia, the definite wild card team. Let's check and see what they're doing. Boy, they're pulling the tail feathers out of the Cardinals, 28-0 in the third quarter. Ball out at the 43-yard line of the Pack. It is 2nd down and about a yard and a half for a first down. Huckleby is behind Ellis. Jefferson right and Lofton left. And Dickey is going to go to Ellis. What a hit! And the man who hit him is Abdul Salam, number 74. That name in Arabic translates into soldier of peace. But boy, there was nothing peaceful about that hit, Hank.
No, there really wasn't. And I don't think people have the understanding of what a great job those two inside people, the right tackle and left tackle, Salam and Lyons, both of whom are excellent defensive tackles, put a lot of inside pressure on the rush, and for that reason, Gastineau and Klecko have a better opportunity on the outside. But those two tackles really do a good job.
So it is 3rd and 1 from the 43, almost the 44. They need inches, really, for a first down. They'll go to Ellis, and he slips through. It looked like they were going to stack him up, and he lowered his head and got through to pick up the first down as he crossed the 45-yard line. They'll spot it at the 46.
I really don't know how he got through that seam that time. It looked like they stacked him up pretty well, but he did a good job of running and popped through there for the necessary yardage for the first down. Good job by the left tackle, Konkar. Kitson also doing a pretty good job, but he did a good job of running, just read the block and popped inside the seam.
You know, Honkar was out with a hyperextended knee, but he's back in there and is just through a good block. And Dickey throwing down the middle, intended for Paul Kaufman, and Greg Buttle was right there with him. So the big tight end shut out on that one.
Greg Buttle.
There's the pressure again. You see Gastineau going inside, getting caught inside. He throws the ball right down the middle in a beautiful play. A beautiful play by Buttle, number 51.
There's Mark Gastineau. He and Joe Klecko are the ends, with Salam and Lyons in the middle of the New York sack exchange. 2nd and 10 on the Packer 46. Dickey's going to be swallowed up at the 40-yard line, and look at Gastineau again. Marty Lyons, number 93, appeared to be the man who's going to get credit for the sack. Number 93, by the way, was such a good athlete. He was All-State in baseball. The New York Mets were interested in him, but instead he winds up with the Jets. He's still pitching. So it's 3rd and 16 from the 40-yard line. And Dickey's going down again.
They've got to, they must. I'm talking about Green Bay. They've got to slow the rush down. They've got to run some traps. They ran a trap early in the game, made good yardage on it. They haven't come back to it since that time. They've got to run some screens. They've got to run some draws, but they can't continually go back into the pocket because they just can't take care of that defensive line. The surge has been outstanding for the New York Jets.
Joe Klecko limping slightly. He's playing on a bad foot. Ray Stakowicz punting from his own 20-yard line, and Bruce Harper is standing back on NFL history. And for the Packers, trying to generate something now. 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Huckabee and Ellis are behind Lynn Dickey. Kaufman, the tight end, as a wing, staying in the block. They're going to throw to Kaufman, and he's grabbed by Salam. And then Gastineau, and that'll be that.
Good response again by the defense of the New York Jets. Gastineau coming on the inside, dumps the ball out to the tight end, Kaufman, but a good response there again by Salam, who makes the play.
So on a pass to the tight end, they actually lose 6.5 yards. The ball is back on at the 12-yard line. Dickey down the middle, and it's too low for Lofton to make the reception. And sliding in just in case was Lance Mell. Dickey now has completed 8 for 16 for 59 yards, 1 interception. He's been sacked 5 times and has been throwing like a man under the gun.
They put a lot of pressure on him. He doesn't have enough time really to anchor, to set up, and then step and throw. He's throwing some of the balls falling away. The footing has not been very good for him either. He seemed to be insecure as far as the footwork is concerned, and for that reason, he hasn't thrown well.
So on a 3rd and 18 from the 12, Huckabee and Ellis. Dickey over the middle, no good. Paul Kaufman, and it was Greg Buttle again, number 51, right there to defend. And a thoroughly frustrated Bart Starr looks on.
And of course, the Jets have been playing with 5 defensive backs.
And now Marty Lyons, along with Gastineau and other members of the Sack Exchange, go over and take a moment's respite. Bruce Harper standing back on the Jets 48.
He'll fake inside and keep it himself, but there was a blitz on Mike Douglas, 53. They guessed wrong, talking about the Jets. Green Bay guessed right, and they have possession on the 41.
Meanwhile, a great deal of interest in what transpires in Pontiac, and Tampa Bay is out in front, 13-10. A 30-yard field goal by Jim Capice. 1st and 10 for the Pack on their own 41. Dickey looking to the right side and throwing, no good. Intended for John Jefferson, defended by Jesse Johnson.
There's Jefferson going on the field, going inside a little bit, trying to get him to turn. Number 27 we're talking about. And he goes to the outside. Johnson working on Johnson. He comes back for the ball, and the ball hit him right in the face.
But you know, you have to remember, too, that Wesley Walker is legally blind in his left eye. He has a cataract, and he actually acted as if he lost that ball for the moment. So 2nd and 10 on the Packer 41. Dickey throwing down the left side, no good. So Lynn Dickey is 8 for 19 for 59 yards. Of course, those are cold statistics, and no pun intended. It didn't really tell the story.
And it's pretty amazing. You know, last week, of course, he threw 5 touchdown passes. He really has been a super quarterback. It's just been a tough day, that's all, period.
And a very tough day for Bart Starr and Steve Bartkowski. From the 41-yard line of the Pack, it is 3rd and 10. Dickey deep down the right to Lofton. No catch. He was out of bounds.
For James Lofton, rolled out of bounds. Darrell Ray on the coverage. First down.
Well, I think that picture of Lynn Dickey tells it all.
I tell you, he's a great competitor. He's been a great kid. He played his collegiate football for Kansas State University, and he was super there, and he's done a great job for the Packers.
Bruce Harper deep. First hit him, and that caused him to stumble, and it ruined any comeback attempt. It's 2 years for Hank and myself, for the award-winning technicians sending you this ball game, and for everybody at CBS Sports. Have a great one. 1st and 10 on the Packer 18-yard line. In motion is Gary Lewis. Little swing to Ellis, and Ellis is going to be hog-tied by Holmes, who dropped him at the 15-yard line. So Jerry Holmes, 2 years out of West Virginia, comes in. He was a free agent last year. Holmes gets his man.
You know, Green Bay came into the game with a very outstanding passing offense. They have not run very well. Coming into the game 10 offensively, 12 with the run, 6 against the pass, but they've been kind of a one-dimension team. They haven't been able to do any running at all, and it's tough to win if you have to throw, and especially when you have to play catch-up football.
In fact, Ellis has rushed 10 times for only 28 yards. Huckleby twice for 2 yards, and that's the extent of it. 2nd and 13 from the 15. Dickey over the middle to Paul Kaufman, the tight end at the 25. He dropped the ball, and it is picked up by Springs, Kirk Springs, who's a nickelback out of Miami of Ohio. And it's Kurt who picks up the loose ball.
There you see Kaufman coming across the middle. The ball is right on the money. He makes the catch, tucks it away, runs upfield, and the ball slides right out, right down the side of his leg, and is finally recovered there by the New York Jets. Kirk Springs, number 45.
Well, there's Paul Kaufman, pretty much down about things right now, understandably so. There's Kirk Springs, who is rather euphoric for the moment, coming up with the recovery. Recover this fumble by Kevin Long, but the Jets by Springs. Long has just fumbled, recovered by Douglas. And the Pack has it 1st and 10 on their own 14-yard line. Dickey looking, swallowed up by Marty Lyon. Marty Lyons, when they tell me in high school, struck out 23 batters in 11 innings. Boy, he's pitching some kind of a one-hitter today.
Yes, he is.
And for Lynn Dickey, he has suddenly become a catcher now. That's the 7th sack for New York. Dickey throwing for his life for Kaufman, and Dickey is on his back in the end zone with Marty Lyons on top of him again.
And I said it early, and I'll say it again. Lyons and Salam, they really have not gotten the recognition and credit they deserve, because they really put a lot of inside pressure on the offensive line and on the quarterback, and it's been very beneficial to Gastineau and Pleco, but those two guys are very outstanding.
So for Lynn Dickey, the Jets really giving him a bad time up front. Of course, this crew has given a lot of quarterbacks a bad time, and there they are. The sack exchange, Gastineau, Salam, Lyons, and Pleco. And it is a 3rd and 16. The ball is back as Dickey drops to the end zone to pass. No good. Intended for John Jefferson, but no chance.
Well, I'm really surprised that Pleco is still in the game. He shouldn't be in there. He's got a bad leg. You'd think they'd give him a rest and get him ready for the playoffs, but he's still in there.
So right at the 39. Play action fake to Durkin. And Todd going deep all alone. Wesley Walker. He couldn't even get close to him.
You know, and Walker caught the bottom half of the football that time. It really did. It was almost halfway through, and he caught the tip of it. A beautiful catch by Walker. Harvey had no chance whatsoever. Ran right by him. Boy, with terrific speed and a great-looking play. A play-action pass thrown by Richard Todd.
It's ending plays, and it is 28-3 in favor of the Jets. Talk about feeling no cold. So we have 5:25 left in the game, and for Bart Starr and his hard-working team, a dismal day. The best shot was not good enough. Turdell Middleton and Mike McCoy deep, and you had a close-up of Turdell Middleton. Pat Leahy will tee it up. There's Mike McCoy, number 29. So McCoy and Middleton, the deep men. 5:25 left in the game. 28-3 in favor of the Jets. Coming up is Middleton to take it at the 12, to the 20, to the 25, to the 30. And down he goes at about the 32. Well, we have a moment, a reminder tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes. Archie Bunker's Place, one day at a time. Alice, the Jeffersons, and then Trapper John, M.D. It's all tonight right here on CBS. So the Packers have 5 minutes left. They're down 28-3, and they have it 1st and 10 on their own 32. Jefferson and Kaufman are left. Lofton is right. Ellis and Huckabee are the running backs. And he'll go to Ellis. And Ellis across the 40 to the 45 and out to the 48-yard line. A murmur of protest considering the time left in the game.
And Kenny Neal is playing the in possession for Klecko at this time with 4:52 left in the contest.
1st and 10 on the Packer 48. The pass is caught by John Jefferson. He's at the Jets 35 to the 30 and goes down at the 29. So Jefferson hooks up, and the Pack has it 1st and 10, starting on their own 32. They've moved it to the Jets' 29-yard line with 4:27 left in the game, 28-3 New York. Lofton left, Kaufman and Jefferson right. And Dickey deep, no good, and the man who almost caught it was Lance Mell, number 56, who went up in the air, had his hands on it, but couldn't hold it. Mell has come back nicely from a severe concussion in the Seattle game. By the way, in a note of history, the last game played at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington. You know, next year they go indoors, the Hubert Humphreys Arena. And in the final game at Metropolitan, Kansas City beat Minnesota 10-6, and for the first time in his coaching career in the NFL, Bud Grant's team has lost 5 in a row. What a way to finish the year for Minnesota. 2nd and 10 from the 29. Dickey for Kaufman. No good. Kaufman getting a lot of coverage. Kenny Schroy was there to hit him. And at the same time, Johnny Lynn was in there, number 29, playing with a bad neck.
Yeah, they're playing with 5 defensive backs, which is very obvious. And he had a chance to make the catch, but there was heavy traffic.
And, of course, for people in the New York area, Jets playoff tickets go on sale tomorrow, December 21st at 8 a.m. at the advanced ticket window right here at Shea Stadium. Boy, that's an announcement I'm sure even the wildest Jet fan wouldn't believe possible earlier this year. 3rd and 10 on the Jets' 29. Dickey for Lofton, no good. He tried to make a one-hand catch, and James couldn't hold on to it.
And Walt Michaels and his fine coaching staff got a lot of abuse early in the season. They deserve a lot of credit for the way this team has come back and played the rest of the season.
Heartiest congratulations to Walt, who, of course, is known for his great career with the Cleveland Browns, but briefly was with the Green Bay Packers and was traded back to Cleveland for a name that it's synonymous with the Packers, Forrest Gregg. 4 minutes left. And it's 4th and 10 for Dickey and the hard-pressed Packers, 28-3 Jets. Dickey under a rush, and down he goes. Coming in a hurry was Abdul Salam and Marty Lyons, but it was Salam, the soldier of peace, who came in to deck him, and that would be the 8th sack. They've had 8 sacks 3 other times this year, twice against New England. They had 8 sacks against Houston, and of course they're high. They had 9, as we mentioned earlier, against the Giants. That gives them 65 sacks, 2 behind Oakland.
And you talk about Dickey being under the rush that time. He literally went under the rush. They went right over the top of him. He fell to the turf, but it was another sack.
So the exchange, fight delighted with it. Sack will put it in play. 1st and 10 from their own 34-yard line. Two minutes and 9 seconds left in the game. The Jets scored 7 in the first quarter and 14 in the second quarter, while the Packers could only muster a field goal from Jan Stenerud. So it was 21-3 Jets. It was a scoreless third quarter, and the Jets scored in the fourth quarter, 28-3. There were 2 electrifying scoring passes, 55 yards to Lamb Jones and 35 to John Jefferson. Wesley Walker making the big reception in the Jets end zone. And the story has been all the Jets. Ellis staying in the block, and he still can't do it. Down he goes. Neal, number 77, and Rudolph, 76. They're the backup men for the sack exchange. That's the 9th sack. That equals the 9 that they had against the New York Giants. And with 9 sacks today, that gives them 66. They're just second down for the Pack. Dickey throwing to Lofton, and he can't hold it. James Lofton unable to hold on to it. By the way, friends, tonight on 60 Minutes, Mike Wallace interviews Nancy Reagan, and for the first time, the Polish government tells its story of the crisis in that country. That's tonight on CBS. Flecko, Lyons, Salam, Gastineau, and now Neal and Rudolph are in there. 9 sacks for the Jets. Third and 16 from the 27. Complete to Lofton, making the reception at the 35-yard line with 1:46 left and time running out. Meanwhile, a final score, the first time Detroit loses at home all year. They lose the biggest game of the year.
And what a time to lose it, huh?
Dickey to Kaufman, and Kaufman can't hold on to it. So Tampa Bay wins the divisional championship in the NFC Central as they knock off Detroit. And here delirium has set in with 1:25 left. The Jets have locked it up 28-3.
And Green Bay has had to play catch-up football all afternoon. Dickey has thrown 33 times, completed only 12 for a total of 98 yards.
By the way, in talking about the Jets game coming up next week, we have to correct the time. That time with Buffalo, a 12 o'clock Eastern game, the AFC wildcard game. Richard Todd taking no chances, and the clock running down. So our heartiest congratulations to Walt Michaels and the Jets. Condolences, of course, to Bart Starr and the Packers. We have a minute left. A delirious one side and a downcast other. The story here at Shea.
I know this is a tough finish, but I still think Bart Starr and his coaching staff did a super job under the circumstances of the season. They had some tough luck. They had some bad injuries. They came back and fought hard, won some games, and it's too bad they finished like they did there this afternoon, but they deserve a lot of credit for making their club hang in there like they had.
Talking about deserving a lot of credit, the 1981 New York Jets team has just set a Jets defensive mark. Can you imagine holding the Green Bay Packers total offense to 68 yards?
Incredible, and you have to give them a lot of credit for the great job that they did. Walt Michaels, his coaching staff, and of course the players.
Though it is all over, just the formality of the seconds to tick away as Walt Michaels and the New York Jets, a team that started off 0-3, had won 10 of their last 13 with a tie, go on to defeat the Packers 28-3. Terry O'Neill, Charles Milden.